sing of the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire in darkest night. You are close like no other. I will sing of the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so good. With every breath that I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire in darkest night. You are close like no other. I know you as a father. I know you as a friend. And I have lived in the goodness of God. Oh, this is my story. All my life you have been faithful. This is my song. All my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. 'Cause your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, surrendered now, everything. Your goodness is running, it keeps running after me. All my days, all my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so good. With every breath that I will sing of the goodness of God. The Lord our God is ever faithful. He's never changing through the ages. From this darkness, you will lead us, and forever we will say, you're the Lord our God. The Lord our God is faithful and never changes. Through the ages, this darkness, you will lead us. Forever we'll say, you're the Lord. You're the one we love. You're us, Goes before me. I know stands beyond the God of angel armies is always by my side. The one who reigns forever. He is a friend of mine. The God of angel armies is always by my side. Angel armies is always is a friend of mine. Angel is always by my side. Is always by my side. You're by our side. You've never left. We thank you, Jesus. We trust you, God. God, I look to you. I won't be overwhelmed. Give me vision to see things like you do. God, I look to you. You were my help comes from. Give me wisdom, just what to do. You are my strength. I will love you, Lord, my shield. And I will love you, Lord, my rock. Forever all my days, I will love you. still working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop, you never stop working. You never stop, you never stop. Let's sing it out. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop, you never stop working. You never stop, you never stop working. The one who set me free, hallelujah. Death has lost its grip on me. You have broken every chain. There's salvation in your name, Jesus Christ, my living hope. Well, hello, everyone, and good afternoon. We bring you greetings from Birmingham, Alabama. Welcome to all of our listeners and all of our viewers from around the world. You have just joined Birmingham Bible Church's Winning Wednesday. And so on this day, we love to declare that you are a winner and that you have the victory. And so you need to speak to yourself on today and say, self, I have the victory. I'm a Cat Williams fan, but self, yeah, speak to yourself and say, self, I have the victory. Because as you all know, life and death is in the power of the tongue, and so we need to speak greatness in our life on today. And so, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for how you all are sharing the broadcast with someone that you know and someone that you love. Of course, we take this time to inspire, to educate, to encourage, so that all of us can do better and be better. And as many of you know, this, of course, is October, but this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And so to all my ladies out there, make sure you do your due diligence and do your self-checks. Make sure you have scheduled yourself for your mammograms sometime this year. But it is also Domestic Violence Awareness Month as well. And many of you know this is a continual problem just in our world. You can turn on the news locally, nationally. I know we have been inundated with things that have been happening here in the Birmingham area, even on this week. But you always hear about, you know, some ex-girlfriend or wife or ex-wife being killed. And we know that abuse knows no gender. And so our guest on today will talk about that as well. But domestic violence is just prevalent. It's in every community. I don't care what your race is, what your gender is, what your religion is, it is there. And so a lot of us, we know the effects of it. You know, there's physical trauma, there's, you know, mental trauma, and sometimes there's even death. But our guest on today, she knows this topic and she knows it very well. She offers personal experience, and I love Alexandria because, you know, she's very open and very honest and transparent about what she's been through in hopes of helping other people. She has a great, vast area of expertise in it. And so I am excited about our guest on today. Listen, if you know someone
who is going through this, please share this. Even if someone is not going through it, if you have teenagers, if if you have children, when they get home from school and they're through with all their activities, help, let them listen to this as well so we can prepare even the next generation. And so I bring to you guys on today, Miss Alexandria Means. She is our domestic violence expert. Hello, Miss Alexandria. Miss Alex?
Hello, hello, hello. Good morning. Well, it's afternoon now.
Yeah, it is
Good
afternoon. Yeah.
afternoon.
1 minute after the morning.
Yes. Good afternoon. So glad to be here again
Yeah,
with you all. And it's always an honor to come and visit with you all in October during Domestic
yeah.
Violence Awareness Month.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And we love the information you bring. I remember last year, we had a great segment as well. We had you, and then we actually had LaShondra. Y'all were tag teaming and y'all were having this discussion together because she truly is a domestic violence survivor. And so thank you for joining us here on today. We love to switch it up a little bit. So tell us, I mean, you can tell us your story. You can start your presentation, however you want to go forth with it. It's fine with us.
Right. Well, I can tell you in general how I kind of got started in working with domestic violence and working with domestic violence survivors.
Mhm.
I often tell the story of a woman who was experiencing domestic violence with her husband. And one of the things that she used to do would be to put any money that she had gotten, whether it was from work or from somewhere else, any money that she had gotten, she would hide it in the baby's diaper, and literally in the diaper that the baby had on.
Mhm.
And she said that was the only way that she could make sure that her husband would not spend that money, take that money, whether it's for drugs or for alcohol, or just gambling it away. And that was one way how she survived, her and her daughter. And eventually she did get out of that relationship, and it was a violent relationship, physically, mentally, emotionally, just you name it, it was all of it, financially, sexually, it was all of it. And that baby grew up to be me. That baby grew up to be me, and my mother was able to get out of her experience. However, not really understanding domestic violence, really understanding health relationships. What do you think I found myself in?
Mhm.
Here I found myself in a domestic violent or intimate partner violence relationship. And unfortunately, I didn't know, and I didn't know about resources, talking with my mother, she didn't know about resources that were available. And so as time went on, for me, it was very important for me to share my story so that other people could hear. But now knowing what resources are available, being able to share those resources within our community, through social media, and let people know that there is a way to receive help. But then most importantly is that there is a way to eradicate domestic violence. This is not something that has to happen. We have to teach our children about healthy relationships. And if we don't know, we have to be willing to raise our hand and say, hey, I don't know what a healthy relationship looks like. Can you help me? And so if we do our due diligence with trying to make sure our children understand what healthy relationships look like, how to model them in front of them as well, we can eradicate domestic violence. But it takes all of us. It takes all of us for that to happen.
Yeah, awesome. I remember you telling that story last year. So thank you for reminding our viewers just, how your mom survived and she did get out. I know you'll talk about that. And, there's a way to actually get out. You'll talk about all that in a minute, but you are just wonderful proof that, it's possible, you know.
It
Yeah.
is. It is
Yeah.
possible. It is definitely possible. And also, thank you to churches like yourself who are willing to put this on air, because it takes it's not just one agency, it's not just one person, but it takes all of us to bring awareness to this. We think that the pandemic with COVID was bad. Domestic violence is happening every single day. Someone loses their life every single day. And it behooves us to know what it looks like and how we can help ourselves or help others who may be experiencing it.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Yes, ma'am. Well, we are ready.
All right, well, great. So I am going to hopefully we can get this right. Share the screen. Share the screen here. Let's see, audience. All right, so you should be able. Can you see my screen?
Yes. I see it.
Awesome. Great.
Love it. Love it.
And so, as Lady Pamela mentioned, this is Winning Wednesday. This is Winning Wednesday. And I chose today to kind of discuss workplace response to intimate partner violence. This is a little different than how I normally approach it. We pretty much cover what I would call DV 101 almost every year. And we do kind of add a twist every now and then. For example, we brought a survivor on to talk about her experience as well. But hopefully, what I share with you in this segment, you really can apply it anywhere. You can apply it in your home. You can apply it, in your church or any other organization that you're with. But this is our Winning Wednesday with workplace response to intimate partner violence. Okay, there we go. All right, and let's see. Did it switch for you guys? There we go. All right, so you've already met me. You've already met me. Just for the sake, like, how does she know what she's talking about? First of all, I have gone to school and gotten several degrees. However, what's most important is that I am a nationally certified domestic violence advocate as well as a forensic counselor. And in each one of those, my specialization is domestic violence intervention. So which to me that's not so important, but however, I know our communities like to know, how do we know she knows what she's talking about?
That's right.
Okay, so the first part is workplace response. And we're just going to dive right in and look at some of our objectives that we want to accomplish on today. And first off, it's exploring the prevalence of IPV, intimate partner violence. We may not recognize that it is, something that's happening in the workplace, but we'll discuss that. We'll kind of explore what that looks like, but also explore the impact that it makes in the workplace. And you may be surprised at how it does impact our workplaces here. And then we want to look at the trauma-informed response that we should have. And this is the big piece, I think, that we can take to any other job. We can take it to our churches. We can take it to other organizations. So that's the biggest learning piece. Now, toward the end, so First Lady did not have an opportunity to rehearse or practice, and she's going to pretend, she's going to do some role playing for me today, and she's going to be the supervisor. And I'm going to give her the scenario, and I'm just going to ask, how would you respond? And we're going to see how she does. But let's gotta get started first. I think you're going to do well. I
hope so.
You will. All right, so the prevalence. Again, I think a lot of us may not think that it is prevalent in the workplace or that it shows up in the workplace, but we're going to look at just a couple of numbers here. So first, 1 in 5 workers, well, 1 out of 5 workers experience the impact of intimate partner violence at work. And this was according to Workplaces Respond. So 1 in 5. So just imagine literally, if you've got 20 people that perhaps work on the floor with you, that 1 out of 5. And if you look at that, I mean, that's how many people. If it's 1, it's too many. If it's 1, it's too many. But they are experiencing intimate partner violence and it's impacting their work. Well, how is that so? Well, it's because perhaps maybe this person is calling constantly, maybe on their cell phone, calling constantly on their office phone, and this person is distracted, this person is unable to talk, the way that they need to their colleagues or to their clients or customers. And so that's an issue. Or perhaps they're coming into the office late, or they're having to leave early. They may be coming into the office with injuries. That again is a distraction for them. But it is very disturbing to know that when people are arriving to work, that they are being impacted by domestic violence, and they are not able to be their best selves in the office, or in the field, or in a mechanic shop, wherever it is that they are working. So this here, this particular stat has more so to do with larger industries, and this is for people who are organizations that have 1,000 or more employees. Okay, so it says 1 in 4 private industry establishments reported at least one incident of IPV in the 12 months prior to the survey completed in 2006 by the US Bureau of Labor. That's the year before, at least once. And as I've shared online before, we do know that people oftentimes don't report domestic violence that they are experiencing. So any of the numbers that we're giving you, any of those numbers likely are lower than what's actually happening, because people do not report it. So what's the impact that happens because of the domestic violence that is happening on the job? I always say count the cost. So count the cost is several things. So the first one I have listed here is disruptions. And you'll see the numbers here. I talked about people being disturbed on the job, perhaps because there are phone calls that are coming in. They may even have visits. The person may be dropping them off at work, picking them up at work, may take them to lunch, but it's repeatedly that this individual is coming into their office space or on the premises. And this particular number here says that there are 83% of employees were disrupted by abusers while trying to work. 83%. Okay. And of those 83%, 70% could not have a job when they wanted one. So there are some times where, because of the situations that have taken place, the abuser then has created a situation where they have been, that employee has been restricted from working when they wanted to. And that could be to go to work or to continue to do the work that they have been hired for. One of the last one, the 53% lost employment. I recall serving as an advocate in a courtroom, and this particular lady worked at a bank, and her abuser was in the parking lot, and he was waiting for her. I'm not sure this particular day if he was trying to harm her, but there were other days where he was there and he was trying to harm her. And the bank at the time, their decision was to let her go because it created a risk for not only her, but for their staff. That was the decision that was made. And so we'll explore, are there some better options than people losing their jobs because of what they are experiencing? And I can understand, and I think many of us can understand, wanting everyone else to be safe, but we want to make sure everyone is safe, and that includes that survivor as well. Missed opportunities. I've mentioned earlier, sometimes this person is unable to go to work, or the person perhaps goes to work, has to leave early, comes in late, or what have you, but you'll see 49% miss one or more days of work within a week. One or more. 18% missed out on raises or promotions. So you can imagine, if I'm inconsistent with my attendance, if I am inconsistent with my performance, then I am likely not going to be the best candidate for raises, or I'm not going to be the best candidate for promotions. And then there could be some other opportunities that are presented within that company that I'm going to miss out on. And that's 38% that's listed in that particular survey that was done. Other opportunities could be just other development projects, things that come along that could help allow that person's talent to shine. But because of the domestic violence that they're experiencing with their partner, then they miss out on those opportunities. And the last column that's listed here is the financial loss. This was a doozy. I mean, as I watch this year to year, the numbers are astronomical. And if you can imagine how things go up in society as far as the cost, well, guess what? The financial loss increases as well. In 2014, one of the things that was shown was that the long-term impact was $1.3 trillion. $1.3 trillion. That's a lot of money. A lot of money. But then in 2017, if you notice the estimated, and this is like within the entire society here in the US, the cost loss in productivity and health costs was $9.3 billion per year. That was being lost per year. And again, because domestic violence or intimate partner violence is not reported, every incident is not reported, every situation, it's not always reported, then that means, again, these numbers are lower than what they should be. So the numbers that are reported here are not exact numbers. These are some where people were willing to share this information. All right, so then let's look at, we know now that it's prevalent, it's happening, and we know that there is some costs associated to it happening. Let's look at the proper response that we should have when domestic violence is happening. Now, again, this slide is angled as if you are a supervisor or someone who owns a business. Again, you can take this and you can use it for like any other organization as well. All righty, so trauma-informed responses promote well-being and resilience. Yes, and if you think about it, if we all are operating in a spirit of being trauma-informed, meaning I'm going to recognize that we all have had experiences that are going to dictate our perception, the way we respond, how we act. If we all come to the table with that, and again, offer grace, offer grace and mercy, that's what I like to say, offer the grace and mercy there, then we are more apt to be more resilient. All of us tend to be more resilient, and then our overall well-being has a greater chance of being healthy. So this is what perhaps maybe people look like in the office. Everybody looks like they're fine. Everyone looks like like it's just a good day. We're just working. Okay. However, the truth is there's always something going on behind the glasses, behind the eyes, but behind our heads. There's something always going on, but we oftentimes put on a good front for others. However, there are times where a situation occurred, and hypothetically, I'm going to say that perhaps an abuser arrived on staff and non-staff, but the abuser arrived at the place of employment and created a situation, created a scene where there were others present who witnessed it. So what is our response? As a supervisor, as a person who owns a business, maybe you're the CEO at an organization or your HR, what is your response? And I petition all of us to have a plan in place if we are ever to have this type of situation. We all have a inclement weather plan. We nowadays we have an active shooter plan. We have a plan for if it if there's a fire that breaks out, even like in the schools, in the church, you got a plan. You know where you got to go. You know where the exits are. Businesses even have harassment policies, but is there a true trauma-informed policy in place that will address every trauma that can likely take place for a human being? In particular, okay, if this person is experiencing intimate partner violence, what is your agency's, what is your employer's response? And we usually get silence right there, because there usually is not something in place as it relates to a staff member experiencing intimate partner violence. So again, I said, let's pretend hypothetically that this person came in. The first thing that we need to do, and I've listed it here as trauma-informed response number 1. So it happened. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. We can't skirt this under the rug. We can't act like it didn't happen. It happened. So we need to talk about it. And so what does that look like? Here, acknowledge first. It did happen. And acknowledging it may be different depending on who all needs to have the conversation, because there may need to be a conversation with the staff that was present, and it may need to be a conversation with that employee who experienced the incident directly. But either way, we have to make sure that everything is done in confidence. We want to protect the integrity of all of our staff members, church members, whomever, but make sure everything is done in confidence. And the best way to do this too is we have to lead with empathy. I may not be in this person's shoes. I may not fully understand everything that is happening, but I can lead with empathy. And if you're not familiar with emotional intelligence, I definitely recommend you reading up on emotional intelligence. And this will help you to understand that, one, I can't fix things. I can't fix it, but I can be helpful. I don't want to offer toxic positivity. And that's where we have this positive mindset where, well, at least this didn't happen. And at least, no, that's because this is what happened to us. And so we want to address it. Being very specific, with the conversations that we have, being very specific, open, and very direct about what has taken place. We don't have to sugarcoat it. We can state exactly, how this person came in, how it made each one of us feel, and that we don't like it, it's uncomfortable, or I don't feel safe. And we have to listen for that. I think the next thing I have listed is let your support be led by the employee. In those cases where we are speaking to that person who's the survivor, they may not want what you think may be the next best step, but our conversation should be, or our next steps should be led by that employee, and then support them with whatever those decisions are that they are making. And basically the two of you come up with what the next steps are. We have to share what the agency or the business's responsibility is, but then also offer the support that that person needs. That will gain so much trust that the person can open up to you. And as you maintain that confidentiality, as you're continuing going on along as well, that person, I promise you, they may trust you even more. And you are in a great position at that point to offer some help to them. And we'll get to that in just a moment. So the next step number 2, is resources, respite, and referrals. To me, this is the easy part because you're just giving information. So I'm going to show you here, resources. What is it that you have right there within your agency or within your company? Many companies have employee assistance programs. offer the employee assistance programs, remind them of that, of what they do have. There are DV programs in your area. There has in every city and probably every county, there is an agency that covers you for domestic violence, that there's a certified program in your area. And so what I did list on this particular slide is the hotline.org. And it's your connection to DV programs and any state that you're in. And you can go on, click your state, and they can provide you information for your area. Many times domestic violence victims also experience sexual violence. And so I've listed the sexual violence programs. Again, you'll be able to find who is in your area. And I made sure to put those particular websites on there because I know that there are many people from across the nation who usually hear this particular stream. And so I didn't want to make it just tailored just for one area, but here you can go and you can find your state and they can connect you to the local agencies in your area that can assist you. But also, if you're in a position where you're in this business and you are the HR representative or you are the CEO, bring in professionals. Bring in those professionals who can assist with what is happening in your organization with your staff members. Most of the time, some of those professionals are going to be those very DV programs that you sought after. But be equipped with resources to share with those who are experiencing intimate partner violence. Respite. So respite looks a little different. And I recognize that a lot of agencies may have some trouble with some of this because it may require you allowing staff to be off occasionally. But the first part of this is allowing space for processing and support. And all of us, if we are there, we all likely need to process it. We all need that space to process it and to get the support that we need. If it's a situation where it happened on the job, everyone who's involved needs to have support in some form or fashion. I recall one year there was a young lady who was killed. And the people at the job, they really needed space to process it because they were asking the question, what did we miss? Why is it that we didn't know? And they didn't have a clue. And they didn't understand because they had worked alongside this person for so many years, 8 to 10 hours a day, and they missed what they thought were clues. But if they didn't know what to recognize, then they weren't going to be able to see it. And so if situations happen, you may have to take some time to allow people to process what is happening. And that's another good time where you should bring in the professionals. Bring in the professionals, whether it's counselors, calling your EAP, having them to send someone out because of the situation that is taking place. Allowing time off as needed, depending on each person, their own situations. FMLA may be an option for them, especially if it's a survivor who perhaps may have some injuries. They may need to take some time off, but help them to explore all of that. The time off, they may not want it. Some people feel like they need to work, they need to keep busy. Again, that's where you're going to allow that employee to lead. They lead and you support. Encourage self-care. Again, that's customized. My self-care will not look like your self-care. I could decide that I just want to lay in the bed all day long, all day long. But someone else's self-care may be, I'm a runner. I need to go run. Personally, therapy for me is driving. You can get me on the highway and I could just drive. And it gives me the time to think that I need, but I also like to bake. So if I want to think about some things, mulling some things through my head, then I bake. But whatever it is that self-care for you, then that's what you need to do. And the last one is practice check-ins. And what I mean by that is, this is a different type of check-in for your daily responsibilities in your job. This check-in is, I want to make sure that mentally you are okay. I want to make sure physically you are okay. And of course, that can only be done with the consent of the employee, because we can't force anyone to share information. But you want to practice check-ins after events have happened, and then maybe space them out further along, just to make sure everyone, all parties involved, are okay, and that they continue to have the resources that they need. All right, so this is where I want to start asking First Lady some questions to see how she does. And I'm going to give her a situation.
Okay.
And for this activity, the young lady's name is going to be Gabrielle, and we call her Gabby in this. And so we want to figure out what your response is going to be off of the different scenarios that she finds herself in. But it's just it's an easy follow along. Okay, so here it is. Gabrielle has worked for you for about 5 years. She is one of your most trusted employees, who also serves as an excellent role model to the other employees. However, recently, Gabby, as you call her, has been arriving to work late. This seems to have become a pattern each week over the last month. Like today, there were several times she appeared to have been crying. Gabby gives the excuse her 3 children have been acting out in the mornings, and it's why she's tardy. How do you respond?
Okay, so what I would do, and I'm big on body language, I would bring her into the office, but I would not sit across from her. I would just kind of sit, beside her to let her know that, she could feel comfortable in talking to me. And I will have a conversation with her, and I have a big heart. So I would say, hey, I've been noticing this and noticing that. Is everything okay? And just kind of go from there, and hopefully she will feel comfortable enough to talk to me. I can talk to her about my children and just kind of get the conversation going, and just kind of see if she'll kind of open up to me a little bit more.
All right. And that's very good. I love that you said that you would not sit perhaps behind your desk, but you would sit next to her. Because if the human nature is, if we see someone behind a desk, we see that person as a person of authority, and we may not be as willing to engage with them. So I think that is a very good move. And then connecting with her with the children. You all have children in common. You're making that connection. And so what I would recommend definitely is that, like you said, you can't force her, but you're hoping that she's going to share some information with you, and reiterating that you are there to be a support. And I think at some point, because what we noticed in the description was that she was crying, that she had been crying. And so we can ask, I see that you're upset about something. Is there some way I can support you? And it's not what's going on with you. I need to know, it's how can I support you? And that's without you knowing the details. Is there a way that I can support you? And that can go a long way and allow her to open up. Now, because you are her supervisor, it doesn't mean that you negate the fact of talking about promptness. It doesn't mean you negate the fact, because she hasn't given you anything yet for you to know that she's in a situation. And of course, remember resources based off of the conversation that she's had with you that she might need. Is it childcare? If the children are acting out, well, hey, EAP, if there's some behavior issues, maybe you can talk with EAP. Maybe the counselors can give you some ideas about children and their behavior. But you're extending everything possible. Again, that shows that you're supportive, and it shows that you are concerned about her, and you're providing her support through resources as well. All right, so we're going to go a little bit further with Miss Gabby.
I hope I did good.
You're doing good. You're doing good.
Okay.
All right. So it's not even 3 days later when you realize the office phone has been ringing constantly for Gabby. She seems upset and slams the phone down. Gabby's sweet mate shares the caller is Gabby's boyfriend. How do you respond?
Ooh. So, okay, so of course, definitely another conversation.
Mhm.
Then of course we'll ask her, like I said, hopefully we have been, in a great relationship so she can talk to me.
Mhm.
And once we kind of, hopefully I've won her trust,
Mhm.
I will say, hey, kind of what's going on with your phone constantly ringing and it seems like you're upset.
Mhm.
Who was that on the phone? Because I don't want to share what someone else has said. When
Mhm.
somebody told me it was, I don't want to do that. So hopefully she can say, who it was, and I can offer her, well, hey, do we need
Mhm.
to call somebody in? Do we need to get the police involved?
Mhm.
What can I do to help? I think I would do that.
Okay. It's good that you said to take her aside and talk, because what was outlined there was that she has a suite mate,
Right.
which right, which means that there's likely not privacy there. And so you did say that you would take her aside, which is very important because you want to maintain that confidentiality.
Mm-hmm.
You definitely want to take that. So you mentioned you acknowledge that she seemed like she was upset, or what have you. What's important to remember is to let her lead. And so again, that question is, how can I support you?
Mm-hmm.
And not appear to be prying.
Mm-hmm.
And if we try to force, well, who is that on the phone? Okay, her radar goes off, and then she kicks into survival mode because I can't out this person, because whoever this is on the phone, likely, if I say who it is, then it likely they are going to probably do harm to me, say something else to me, or they're likely to come up here. I don't know what she's gonna do now that she knows who this person is. Is she
Right.
gonna call the police? But
Right.
let Gabby lead for what the next steps are going to be. But again, it's you asking, how can I help? How can I support? Is there something that we can do? Can I refer you to another part of our agency? Things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay.
You're doing good.
Okay.
All right. So next, Gabby discloses, she finally discloses, so she's trusting you.
Okay.
Discloses her boyfriend is harassing her by repeatedly calling the office. She wants it to stop, but is afraid to speak up. How do you respond?
Okay. So I would ask her has she brought it to his attention? And have they had a conversation about it? So depending on what her response is, if it's yes, I have, um, then I would, you know, I don't know, because I don't want to do anything that's going to put her life in jeopardy. So,
Right.
even though we have people that can monitor the phones and know it's him that's calling repeatedly,
Mhm.
I don't know if I want to, have someone say something to him, because then it could
Mhm.
take the abuse a step further. So I don't know what to do on that one. I don't know. I think I guess, and then still asking her, okay, well,
Mhm.
since you talked to him about it, what do you want me to do? I want to help. What do you want me to do? Do you want me
Mhm.
to say something, not say something? Do you want me to maybe change your office number? What is it that I can do? I guess I want to be helpful.
Mhm. Right. So um Gabby, at this point, she's talking.
Yeah.
The biggest thing we can do from the beginning is just listen. If
Okay.
she started talking, just listen and let her say any and everything that she wants to say. And like I mentioned previously with the other parts of the scenario, it is again, what can I do to help you? Is there a way that our agency, our company can assist you? And you're really putting the ball in her court and you allowing her to make those decisions. Many survivors don't have options. They're
Mhm.
likely told what to do, how to do, when to do. And here you are trying to empower her to make a decision about her, not only her job, but her life, her well-being, her safety. You're putting that in her court. So, and that shows that you are supporting her and not telling her what she needs to do. And sometimes, even if we word questions, they appear as suggestions. Well, you can do this, and we can do this, and we can do that. She takes it as you telling her what to do. And instead, you're asking, listen, I understand that you're frustrated, and you seem upset about this situation. What is it that I can do to help you? And allow her, again, to make those decisions. You can remind her of resources that are available for what she's experiencing. But everything really ultimately needs to be her, because she needs to understand that you're supporting her and you're not judging her for the decisions that she does make. Because again, she can make a decision that you think is not the best decision, but it's the best decision for her. I've shared this before. I believe people are the expert at their own lives. You don't know why they make decisions the way they make, but they have the full picture in their head, in their mind. We don't have the full picture. And so she's weighing what she believes are the pros and what are the cons. She's weighing all of that in her head. I believe one of the offers that you could make is, what if we change some of her responsibilities temporarily where she doesn't have access to the phone?
Right. Yeah.
What if we change the responsibilities? And not necessarily even the number, because he's gonna get the number from her.
The number. Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna get, and I'm saying he and she, just because normally the numbers are higher for females than they are for men who experience domestic violence. But he's going to get that number for her from her. And so that may not be an option, but what can we do? We can change the responsibilities, perhaps for her, so that she's unable to talk on the phone.
Now, Alex,
go ahead.
I would say, now another thing I would do is, since all this is going on, I would, if I have the liberties of hiring a police officer, because Second Amendment will be all over him. I just thought I'd add that if he come up there. So, okay.
Right. Okay. And actually, I have something.
You were okay. I'm jumping ahead. Okay.
No, but you're thinking. But you are thinking, and that is good. All right. So Gabby is beginning to trust you. She later shares she is afraid of her boyfriend. He has been violent in the past towards her, but she is afraid that something might happen to her in front of her children. Gabby is also fearful her boyfriend will be waiting in the parking lot on any given day. He has threatened to meet her and kill her when she walks out. She said he seems high-strung more than usual due to his drug use. How do you respond?
I would still ask her, what does she want to do? But I think I would be more leading in this conversation. I would say, hey, listen, if you want, I can have a police officer up here. We can do a restraining order. I think I will be more leading in the conversation and trying to give her some options, not telling her what to do, but, kind of leading her in a direction that she should possibly go. Because I know for women, they can't, some of them, especially when they have children, thinking about the children, they can't just leave, because it's not just leaving. It's, okay, he's going to find me where I go. Is he going to harm my parents? She has to probably think about all of that. So I will be kind of more leading her into a direction like, hey, I have this friend, Alexandria Means, and she can really help you. So, and like I said before, I would, if I had the power, I would hire police officers who were there on site. Even, if I had several, so that she's not singled out, making sure when it's quitting time, everybody is being, kind of walked to their vehicle, or they're just kind of in the parking lot and there's some type of presence, police presence. So I think those would be some options I would do.
That's good. That's good. That's good. And I love that you said, okay, hey, I know someone. I know someone. And that's one of the biggest pieces is knowing the resources. Knowing
Mhm.
the resources, because this likely is not within your scope of work.
It's not.
You're like, no, it's likely not within your scope of work. And so you want to refer to the professionals. You want to refer to the experts. In this case, we previously mentioned connecting her with the agency in the area that is certified to handle those domestic violence cases. And they often are able to also offer emergency shelter, things of that nature, or other resources, relocation services. But being in a position when you hear this conversation, that you're able to connect them. One of the benefits of connecting with the local agency is that there is an advocate who can go alongside them to help navigate whatever decisions that they make. And so, for example, you mentioned a protection order.
Mhm.
If they decide that they want to do a protection order, then they can help them complete that process all the way through attending with them to the hearing. And there may be more than one, but they're able to attend that with them. And then um, they may even connect them with an attorney who can help them in that hearing as well. But the biggest piece for us is we have to make that connection. We have to make sure that we are sending them to an advocate, because there are so many other challenges or barriers that this individual may be facing, and we want to make sure that there's an expert who's able to address every area of their life in order for them to be safe.
Yeah.
Part of that also is establishing a safety plan.
Mhm.
She may not be ready to leave. She may say because of the children, or she may not even be ready to go and talk to a police officer and do a report. She may not be ready for that. However, an advocate can actually establish a safety plan where they can identify, a situation or who to call, or what are the next steps. And that's what they need. That's a step in the right direction for them. But Gabby's making that decision and saying, well, you know what, this is what I want to do. Again, you can also mention the employee assistance program. I mean, you throw it all at her, everything, so that she has some options.
Mhm.
Again, I love that you mentioned the protection order. That is something that is easily accessible online. And you can
Mhm.
show her online, say, this is a protection order. You can get one for yourself. Um,
Mhm.
but what you want to show during this time when she's really reaching out for help is that you are concerned, you're ready to be a support, you want to maintain that confidentiality, and
Mhm.
then you're ready to help her seek assistance. So you did good on that. But
Good.
this piece here is Gabby gets a PFA. How do you respond?
Hmm. So she gets so that's the order that keeps him from being near her and the children.
Yes.
Okay. Um, so she gets it, but they've been, I guess, living together. I mean, I don't know the situation. So I'm still having the police presence there.
Mhm.
Um, let's see. I guess besides that, um, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to fire her. So that's
Mhm.
like the very last thing that's even on my mind. I
So
would
how do
just
we
make
protect her? So how do we
yeah.
protect her?
Um, I think I will make sure that she's out to, I guess, and I need to protect all the employees that are there too. So I'm
Mhm.
thinking about her,
Mhm.
but I have to think about everybody who I'm responsible for,
Mhm.
making sure that it's safe. I think, and I know schools do this. So
Mhm.
where I work, I think I would have, mandatory meetings and in these meetings we would talk about safety and of
Mhm.
course not leaving doors propped open. So we will do a
Mhm.
overall as far as making sure everybody's safe.
Mhm.
I'm still communicating with her. How are things going? Where are you living?
Uh-huh.
And just kind of asking more specific questions. making sure, you know, he can't come to the school and pick up the children? Did you take him off the list and maybe trying to give her some ideas, some options of things that maybe she hadn't thought about?
Okay. So
No.
how will we know who he is?
Oh, I guess she would have to show me a picture
Yes. So
on
one of the
social media.
things, yeah. So if she, right, if she's got a protection order, we want a copy,
Okay.
because it means that if something is happening, and let's say he was able to break in and he has her in a room somewhere and the police are on the scene, you have a copy of that protection order to show police, and they can arrest him immediately for violating the protection order. So
Yeah.
it's great to have a copy of it on hand. That helps protect her as well as the company. But we also need a picture, because we don't know what he looks like. But we want a picture so that if he's on the premises, then we can notify everyone that's involved. And hopefully there is an agency protocol that's been put in place, so
Right.
that we will know what our next steps are. That this person is on the premises, we know who to call directly, we know, and the chain of command, we know all of that. And I recognize that many companies do not have this protocol in place at all. So I'm gonna speed through this. A few weeks
Okay.
later, you notice Gabby has fallen behind on some of her work. She seems irritated and frustrated. How do you respond? Now, she's got the protection order at this point,
Yeah.
and they are not together, but she's still frustrated. But we still have a part to play as the employer. And I'll kind of just go ahead and give you the the info about that. So the questions then are, well, does Gabby need time off?
Right.
What does she need? But again,
Yeah.
allow her to lead with that. We don't want to assume that she wants time off. What are her options that she has available? Because what if she doesn't have the time? What if she doesn't
Yeah.
have the time? But that is something that agencies can consider when they're developing policy. Like if they want to grant what I would call mental health days for people that are outside of their sick leave. But let her know that you're willing to work with her. But you still need to be clear, communicate clear and concise expectations about the job, because there's still a job that needs to be done. But you also may want to consider her job responsibility, her schedule, her location, anything that you might be able to adjust to help her do that, because we don't want to create another barrier by firing her.
Right.
Right. And
Right.
then ask her, like if she's falling behind on deadlines, ask her to let me know in advance. Let me know in advance if you're having some trouble with some of the projects, some difficulties, and we can see how we can assist her, instead of allowing her to fall behind, and then it goes against her and she ends up losing her position. Okay, so you did great. You did. I promise you, you did great. You did. But one of the things that I now really want to do is to make sure that our businesses, our companies, our corporations are aware of domestic violence, knowing what it is, acknowledging that it does exist, and seeing how they can support their customers, their clients, their staff members, seeing how they can support them. And part of that is starting off with a protocol, starting off with a policy, because that is not happening right now. We have protocols for everything else, but not for situations such as intimate partner violence that's impacting the workplace. And so if anyone needs assistance with developing any of that, whether it's the policy or the protocols that they want to put in place, I am more than happy to assist. And I've listed my email address, ameans2live@gmail.com, up there. And hopefully I can help, whether it's a church, whether it's an organization, an agency, to develop some policy related to we're having a trauma-informed response to domestic violence that people are experiencing.
This was good, Alexandria. And you're right. I'm just thinking about all the agencies, and maybe school systems,
Yes.
teachers go through a lot. I'm just thinking about all the agencies. I wonder if they have something like this in place.
I can
And maybe
almost
they
guarantee
do.
you
I don't
no.
know. Yeah.
I can
Yeah,
almost guarantee you, no, they do not have this in place. They have a lot of protocol. Like I said, sexual harassment is one of them that, I know that's on the books. But let's see, of course, you got your various reasons for your leave, your personal leaves and things that you
right,
take.
right.
But many companies, they barely have mental health, what they would call mental health days. Many still do not have that. And this could kind of fall under there, but it also could fall under what I would believe to be like sick leave. But
Yeah.
it needs to be addressed. It needs to be a protocol in place,
Mhm.
policies in place if you have a staff member who's experiencing this. Otherwise, you will see people fired from their jobs, or they will
Right.
leave their jobs because of what they're experiencing, where their job actually can be a help, can be a resource for them, especially if they have health insurance through them, if they are able
Mhm.
to use and have access to the employee assistance programs. That's a resource. That's
Yeah.
a resource that this person needs. I mean, so we want to get them that help instead of create another challenge for them by them losing their job. And not to mention that sometimes going to work is respite. Going
Yeah.
to work gets them out of that environment,
Right.
and they feel like they can thrive better even at work. And I'm like, any little bit that we can help with, like, let's do that.
Right.
Let's do that.
Right. And then we don't want to fire them because then that may force them to go back to the abuser as well. Cause
Right.
yeah,
If they left, right. If they left, then if there's a financial strain and maybe
right.
that person was the breadwinner, they may go back to that abuser. If they lose their job, it still puts them in a place of trying to support their family, um, even if they don't go back to the abuser. We've now
Yeah.
placed them in a position where they're going to have to try to find additional employment. If the children were in any activities, the children are coming out of activities. But I think the biggest piece I want people to understand is we can be a support, we can help, we can be a resource, and not a hindrance to this epidemic of domestic violence. We don't have to be. We can support people through it.
Yeah. You're so
Mhm.
right. I'm thinking about colleges,
Oh
colleges is
yeah.
so big, but that it's happening. There was a story of one girl, I think it was earlier this year, and she was a college student, and I think a ex-boyfriend or maybe a present boyfriend,
Mhm.
killed her. But just so many just different areas where this is really needed. It really is a wonderful presentation. Are there any, and you say we could apply this to any organization, any area of our
Mhm.
lives. Are there any subtle red flags? I know the crying, we see the crying, we see the bruises,
Mhm.
the physical uh displays. Are there
Mhm.
any other small red flags as you say, something's not right here?
Right. Well, you may want to look at a person, perhaps maybe they would go to lunch with you pretty often, and it seemed like it started to tailor back.
Yes.
Um, Perhaps we went to lunch every Friday, and then it became every other Friday. Then the Fridays disappeared, and she would say, "Well, I'm just now going with this person or that person," but she wasn't necessarily going with anybody, and you
Right.
recognize that.
Right.
Um, you may see that women, if they wear makeup, or maybe they weren't wearing makeup,
Yeah.
and they're wearing more makeup than usual. And so it's several things that you can look at. So it's not like one particular thing. Or if you notice that this person is constantly on their cell phone, it's like every minute it's they're texting or they're calling
Mhm.
someone else. If they are wearing a turtleneck in the middle of July,
That's
because
right.
perhaps they're trying to cover bruises, that may be on their neck. That's something that, you can notice. They've got to rush out from work. They never have time to stand around and talk. And
Yeah.
the person that's committing the abuse has pulled up and they're ready for them to go and they're racing out. They don't have time to talk with the group anymore. There are
Yeah. Gotcha.
so many different what we would call little things
Mm-hmm.
that mean the world, if
Mm-hmm.
we would stop and just pay attention to it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Thank you.
Mhm.
And I guess it all just, it all boils down there. We need to, as people, just be more mindful and more aware,
Mhm.
be aware of your surroundings, but we need to be aware of the people that we're working with, that we're living
Yes.
with. If we have teenagers who are, they're dating someone and all of a sudden, things are
Mhm.
changing about them. And so,
Right.
yeah, so it's just really being aware too.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we're at work 8 to 10 hours a day.
Exactly.
Most
Right.
people, 8 to 10, if anybody should know you, it should be
It
people at
should
work.
be
They should
right.
know like some of your habits, your patterns, your routine. And if
Yeah.
something about it is off or different, then maybe it warrants a conversation, asking, hey, is everything okay? Are you all right?
Right.
Well, I'm here for you if you need to talk about anything.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. Well, thank you. We're going to do just a few announcements, and then Alex, I want you to just kind of sum it all up and give people just a good takeaway for today. We did have some people watching, and I believe that it was really helpful. What you did was very helpful. Actually, I saw a supervisor that was watching, and so that this was great information. Um, Thank y'all, everyone, for joining us on today. You've heard from Alexandria Means. She is our domestic violence expert. And so I'm going to let her say again at the end how you guys can contact her. But just a couple of things, please make sure you are with us on next Wednesday. We have Tanisha Felton. She's going to talk about generational wealth. And so I'm excited about that topic. I believe October has something that's regarding finances. And so she's going to tackle a particular topic of generational wealth. So we will see you guys on next Wednesday, same time. Go back and listen to the one last week as well. Sunny Star did an excellent job on talking about crime prevention. So you can do that as well. Don't forget, our prayer room call is every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6 a.m. That number is 727-731-0433. Join us there, meet us there so that you can unite with other believers in prayer on various things in your life. Our small group private Zoom. The last session is this Saturday, and we are going to finish up talking about life's healing choices. We have been learning how to heal emotionally, kind of go in line with what Alexandria was talking about on today. And so small group just offers that extra layer of help and support that you would need. And so we will see you guys this Saturday. If you have not been a part of it, please make sure that you send us an email at smallgroups@bhambc.org. That is smallgroups@bhambc.org if you want to be a part of it, and send us a quick email regarding that. We are having worship service in person on this Sunday. New sermon series is called Overcoming the Temptations of Life. So I'm excited about that. Please please invite your family and your friends. It's in person, and so we're asking that you guys register at welcomeback@bhambc.org. Welcomeback@bhambc.org. Please register. Send us a quick email on your name and also the number of people that you will be bringing with you. Also, don't forget, we are handing out treats. We are handing out treats this Sunday. It's going to be church and treat for anyone, for basically our children, but adults. Hey, I'm a big kid at heart as well, so I'll be dressed up. So you can wear your costume. You can bring a friend, but that's going to be this Sunday. Please don't forget to register at Welcome Back at BHAM. bc.org. A couple of things also that we have. One more thing we have coming up in the month of October. We have our ladies virtual conference. It's called Purpose Driven Women. That's our theme, Purpose Driven Women. It's going to be October 22nd at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. And so we have a great lineup of speakers, a lot of great women who are going to tell us how we can just have our purpose as different things, as a wife, as a money manager, as a parent, as a wounded warrior. I'm excited to hear about all these topics. My purpose in the kingdom as a single, as a business owner. And so join us. You don't have to register for that. That is going to be virtual. And so great information for that as well. Also coming up the month of November, it's our 8th anniversary, y'all, 8th church anniversary, and I'm excited about it. It is up until this point, the Lord has blessed us. He has been with us. And so we have a great lineup of pastors and bishops who are going to be speaking to us every Sunday. Half of them will be in person. The other half is going to be virtual. So the first and third Sunday, which is November 6th and November 20th. Of course, we'll have Bishop Keith Reed. And then on the 20th, we'll have Dr. Ralston Mundazy. Of course, Pastor Mason and I after church that Sunday, we'll be renewing our vows on November the 20th, our 25th anniversary. Big silver, y'all, big silver. And so we want y'all to participate, be a part of that. Our virtual services are going to be November the 13th with Dr. Kerwin Lee, and then also November the 27th with Pastor Jennifer Carner. Other than that, one more announcement that I want to make everybody aware of. We've been putting it out there. We have several groups that are going on, but one group we have is our finance group. And so Pastor talked about a 10-week class or 10-week course. If you are interested in that, please send us an email. You can email me at ladypam@tcowi.org. That is ladypam@tcowi.org. I think that's all we have for our announcements. Just want to give you a quick overview, but our website is bhambc.org if you want to look at all those flyers and get more information. Alex, this was wonderful, great information. Please give us our takeaway, something we need to remember, and also how people can email you. I know you put your email address on the screen, but if you can also tell us how people can contact you.
Yes. A takeaway that I want the community to know is that we all can eradicate domestic violence. And if you are experiencing domestic violence, there are resources for you. If you know someone who is experiencing domestic violence, we have a role in it too, whether you are an organization, a business, a church, that we can put some policies, some protocols in place to help those who are experiencing domestic violence. And if you want me to come alongside you to kind of help navigate what that's to look like, then I am more than willing to come and help. And I can be reached. First Lady mentioned my email address, which is Means, and that's my first initial last name, the number 2, and the word live @gmail.com. And you can also find A Means to Live on Instagram as well. But I'm always excited about sharing about domestic violence, the resources that are available, and knowing that we can stomp this out and we can be a support to others who are experiencing it.
Thank you. Thank you for all that you do in this area. We appreciate you. And I know you are so accessible. I know you're accessible to us. And so hopefully we won't need your services, for anything from the church's end. But if we do, we would definitely contact you. And so viewers, there you have it. You had us on today. You had Alexandria Means, our domestic violence expert. Thank you, Alex. I really appreciate your time, your cooperation, and all of your great information. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
All right.